I'm going to use our little rocket ship erasers to model these numbers over here. And then we're going to figure out if this number belongs in this column, the nothing left over column, or the 1 left over column. So we're going to start with 5, all right? So I'm going to count by 2s though to be making these numbers. So you can count along with me or count along in your head as I model 5. We're going to start with 5. So I have 2, 4, oh, and I can't go to 6 because that's too many. So let's do 2, 4, and 5. So I have these 2 rockets make a little pair, these 2 rockets make a little pair, and then I have this lonely rocket left over. So think about it. Do you think 5 goes in the nothing left over column or the 1 left over column? I have 1 little rocket ship left over, so I'm going to take 5 out of my box over here, and I'm going to put him in the 1 left over column. All right, let's do our next number, and we're still going to count by 2s. This number is 12. So again, you can count with me or you can just count in your head. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. All right, looky there. I was able to count by 2s the whole time, making pairs, and I didn't have any left over. So think, is 12 going to go in the 1 left over column or the nothing left over column? All my rocket ships have pairs. So we're going to take 12 out of this box and put him in the nothing left over column. All right, I'm going to collect up my rocket ships. We're just going to sweep them away. My next number is 11. So again, count with me or count in your head. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and oh, I can't go to 12 because I already made 12. We're doing 11. All right, so these rockets all have pairs over here. But look, we have 1 lonely rocket ship left over. So I'm going to take 11, that's the number I just made, I'm going to put it in the 1 leftover column. All right, going to collect all my rockets. Oh. All right, the next number we're going to make is 14. Count by 2s again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And looky there, all of my rocket ships have a partner, have a pair, and I don't have any left over here. So 14 is going to go in this column right here, nothing left over. All right, I'm going to take my rocket ships and move them out of the way. And I'm going to erase my board. So remember, we're talking about, we split our numbers into numbers that had 1 left over and nothing left over. So remember that right there. Okay, now I'm going to get out my worksheet. Now this is not the worksheet that you need to complete today on your own, but it looks a lot like it. This worksheet is going to look a lot like the worksheet you're going to do. So make sure that you're paying attention because you're going to be answering the same type of questions. So let's go ahead and read our word problem up here, our example. And look, it starts with Emma. We're going to do Emma's smiley face with a heart in it. So Emma picks 7 carrots and 6 tomatoes. Does she pick an odd or an even number of each food? So we're talking about our 7 carrots and 6 tomatoes. So we're going to have to figure out what both of those are. To find out if the number of each type of food is odd or even, you can count by 2s, or you can make pairs. If there is 1 left over, the number is odd. If there's nothing left over, the number is even. So remember how we had our 2 columns? We had our 1 left over here and our nothing left over column over here on the whiteboard. This column means that that number was odd, and this column means that that number was even. All right, so let's go ahead and see our let's go ahead and see our models down here, our examples. So we know she has 7 carrots. So here's a model of 7 carrots. And right here, they're using the count by 2 strategy. They went 2, 4, 6, 7. We had 1 left over. So we know that 7 is an odd number because there was 1 left over. Okay. And then over here, we're going to count by 2s with our tomatoes. We have 2, 4, 6 tomatoes. We don't have anything left over. Nothing is left over, so we know that the tomatoes, 6, is an even number because there was nothing left over. So you can use that strategy. You can count by 2s. Or you can make pairs. Now, I'm not talking about this kind of pear. That's a different fruit. We're talking about pairs as in like partners, buddies. All right, so here are my 7 carrots again. And look, we made a pair here, pair here, pair here. And look, we have 1 lonely carrot. He doesn't have a friend. Oh, so we know that this number, 7, is odd because I could not make a pair with all my numbers. And let's make some pairs with our tomatoes. I have a pair here, a pair here, and a pair here. All of my tomatoes had a buddy. They all could make a pair. So we know that 6 is an even number. All right, so we were able to solve our problem. Here's the answer. Emma picks an odd number of carrots and an even number of tomatoes. So this is showing you 2 different ways to solve this problem. I don't have to do both of them. I would just have to do either this way or this way. So let's see what that looks like on your worksheet. So remember, when your worksheet has these little dotted lines around it, this is just an example for you to do. You don't have to do this. It's just showing you a way you can solve it. Down here is where we're going to start solving it on our own. So it wants us to find if the number of objects in the picture, so right here we have ladybugs, is even or odd. And it's telling me what kind of strategy to use. It says count by 2s. So we're going to use this strategy right here. Count by 2s. All right, so I'm going to write, it has little lines down here for me to write. So I have 2 ladybugs, 4, 6, 8. I don't have anything left over, so I'm going to circle even. Remember, if there is nothing left over, it is even. There was nothing left over, so it's even. All right, now let's look at our paper clips. And this time it tells us to use the make pair strategy. It wants us to use this strategy right here. So let's make some pairs, or partners, as I like to call them. 1, 2. Uh-oh, this paper clip doesn't have a partner. This paper clip doesn't have a pair to go with. So we have 1 left over, and we know when there is 1 left over that the number is odd. So I'm going to circle odd right here. Okay, so remember here it's telling you what strategies to use. Now we're going to go on to this. Yours is going to look a lot like this, and we're just going to do these first 2, okay, together, and then we're going to move on. All right, so we're not going to do these right here right now. You will do these on your worksheet, but we're not going to do them together. It says make pairs or count by 2s and write even or odd. So I can pick which strategy. I can do this strategy or this strategy. I'm going to start with making pairs. That's my favorite way to do it. So I'm going to make some little partners. These 2 are partners. These 2 are partners. Look, everybody has a partner. So since everyone has a pair or a partner, we know that 12 is even. All right, let's come over here. I'm going to make my partners. Oh, does everyone have a partner? Does everyone have a pair? No. So since not everyone has a pair, or not everyone has a partner, we know that 9 is an odd number. And remember, these numbers right here are the same number of counters that are up there. All right, you will have to do these on your worksheet, but we're going to skip those for now. I'm going to come down to this word problem right here. It says Joel says that 14 is an odd number because when he puts 14 objects into pairs, there are 2 left over. Is Joel correct? So let's model that problem with our rocket ships. So he has 14 objects. So let's put 14 objects in pairs. Count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Here's my 14 objects. Does everyone have a pair? Are there any left over? No, all my rocket ships have a buddy. So you know what? Maybe Joel was thinking that these 2 down here, or maybe another 2, that they were left over, but they're not left over. They have each other. They have a pair. So is Joel correct? Is 14 an odd number? No. We know that 14 is an even number because all of our rocket ships, all 14 of our rocket ships have a buddy. So we can say, no, 14 is an even number. Because we can take the 2 that Joel thought was left over. Those 2 can make a pair. So I'm going to say, no, 14 is an even number because the 2 left over make a pair. All right. So that was that word problem. Now we're going to come down here and do our write about it. It's just another word problem that we're going to solve. So it says, Abigail picks an odd number of red plums and an odd number of purple plums. Is the total number of plums odd or even? Now I don't have plums, but I do have little apples, and I don't have purple ones, but I do have green ones. So we're going to model this with our little apple erasers. So let's see, we know there is an odd number of red plums. She doesn't tell me what that number is. She tells me that's odd, so I'm going to pick a random odd number. I'm going to pick 3. So here's my 3 red plums or red apples. Okay, and then she says I have an odd number of purple plums. Once again, she doesn't tell me how many plums I have, but she does tell me it's an odd number. I'm going to pick another random odd number, like 5. Remember, I don't have purple, I have green. 2, 4, 5. All right. So she wants to know, is the total number, so all of these apples together, she wants to know if all of these together are even or an odd number. Well, let's see. Let's make some pairs. Well, not pairs. They're plums. But then remember, this kind of pair. All right. So I have these have a buddy, these 2 have a buddy, these 2 have a buddy. What about these 2? What can they do? They can go ahead and they can buddy up because we're putting all of our plums together. So they can buddy up right there. So even though I had an odd number of red and an odd number of green, when we put them all together, we made an even number. Okay. So I'm going to answer this question, is the total number of plums even or odd or even? I'm going to say even. All right. And once again, kind of like up here, because the 2 plums that were left over, you can put together and make a pair. So I'm going to say that because the 2 left over plums make a pair.